everybody. Urban Wrestling Federation Street King. I enjoyed this show. Actually, I'll be honest. I had a love-hate relationship with the show.
I don't know. It was better than the first show, but not as good as the second.
Start at the beginning here.
All right.
If we can even attempt to, let's just go over the highlights.
They did have extensive use of graphics in the show.
Yes.
That is a plus.
Huge plus.
The problem with it, actually, we'll get to that. It came up later, really, but they had graphics in the show, and they put up the 4 men in the main event, and the deal is they don't have wrestlers and managers. They have thugs and bosses.
Yeah.
So that's what we got here. Each of the wrestlers was a thug in the main event, and they showed the rapper he is corresponding with, who was the boss.
Yes. Now, I liked when they first... I almost fell out of my seat when I saw all of this. But right there on the screen... You need a cough button over there or something. Right there on the screen, they had the boss and his thug. They told you what territory the boss was from. Whole 9 yards. Problem was, there were a lot of bosses and a lot of thugs.
Yes.
But they tried. So,
it's a step in the right direction.
A big thumbs up.
Yes. So the point of this is the 4 guys in the finals are Bestia, Homicide, Rashi Brown, and Ricky Reyes.
Yes.
So then Casey Blade got a phone call. Mm-hmm. Okay, now here's a plus and a negative. A plus, I now know this man's name was Casey Blade.
Maybe it's Casey.
So he was jumped from behind by Eddie Kingston, who works for Melly Mel. I was very excited about all these graphics early on.
Yes.
Eddie Kingston beat up Casey Blade for a long time. He took his sneakers and I believe his drugs as well.
You know shit's on when someone steals your tennis shoes.
Yeah. And Casey Blade was talking to a guy named E.C. Negro on the phone. And Negro said somebody would be pissed.
Mm-hmm. There was a key here. That was Eddie Kingston told them to make sure that Homicide knew that he was coming for him.
All right. I got that in the next Kingston segment. But anyway, faster. So there was a man named Buck Child and a man named Steve Mack.
Yes.
Who they also called him Monster Mac. I believe was from the early days of ROH. Could be wrong here. But they were yelling at each other to the point where Billy Blue got annoyed at them, and he booked them against each other in a loser leaves the crew match.
Yes. The argument was over who was fucking whose bitch. But hey, they had a point of contention between the two of them,
right?
And it was going to be settled in an encounter.
There was no ambiguity here
with a stipulation.
There was nothing left to the imagination.
Yep,
we didn't have to assume anything.
I did like how Billy Blue was mostly upset because he said, and I quote, "I got to deal with my kids and my baby mamas, and now I have to deal with this bullshit? This is too much for him."
Yeah.
Awesome.
So at this point, and I will read here directly from my notes, somebody parks a car and runs into a building.
I have no idea what happened there. That's like when you're editing something together, but like you somehow miss something that you meant to edit over or edit out, and so you just see just a flash of something occurring. I have no idea what happened there.
So we got the names of the announcers. I didn't write them all down, but one of them is in fact Julius Smokes.
Yeah, Sean Creedle, Robbie Moreno, and Julius Smokes. Now I have no idea who was saying what throughout the show.
Steve Mack and what the hell is it? Buck Child were having their loser leaves the crew match. That's what they called it, by the way. Loser leaves the crew.
Loser leaves the crew. Who fucked who's bitch match.
Yeah. So Billy Blue talked shit for both of them. They had a match. Monster Mac is probably 400 pounds at this point.
Yeah.
He can't do much.
Actually, of the two, I thought Monster Mac was significantly better.
Sure. He did at one point suplex.
Buck Child was very green.
He suplexed him onto his head. It was not the finish. Eventually, who won? Child won with a bulldog. Master. Mooney and Count were there.
It's never not fun.
We disagreed over their names last time, but here they have graphics, so I can let there be no doubt. One man is Mooney and the other is Count. And they said they were here for, guess.
That money!
That money, and they did have a secondary cause, which was cutting heads off.
You know, if you got two goals in life.
Kingston attacked somebody with a pole.
He attacked E.C. Negro.
Oh, it was E.C. Negro. Okay, I missed it. He attacked him with a pole, beat him up, and here was where, again, he said something about tell Homicide I'm coming.
Tell Homicide he's in deep shit.
Yeah.
At which point, after being beaten up, EC Negro said, and I quote, "You fucking dick!"
Yes, he did say that.
I love this show.
That part was great. Gunplay, Torch, and Youngblood cut promos.
That was Young Breed.
Was it?
I think so.
Probably. All I know about this is I want more gunplay. And I don't mean people firing guns at each other. I mean this man talking.
You're going to get both on this show.
I suppose I will. So, yes. Gunplay. Great promo here. I have no idea what the fuck he said.
You're dead! You're done! It's over!
Yeah, it was awesome.
Repeatedly, he screamed these things.
Great.
They threatened to kill folks.
Sure.
They threatened to kill Mooney and the Count.
You know, I halfway believe they'll deliver that someday.
Yeah.
Here is where we got the Urban Wrestling Federation recap video, which is, I stand by my claim, a kidney punch to the brain. We had Melly Mel.
We had an awesome skit.
We did. Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one who liked this.
This is fucking awesome.
Melly Mel was in the driver's seat of a truck.
Yes.
An
SUV. Or something. It's enough to fit some grown men in.
And a woman.
Yeah.
So the woman was in the front seat. Eddie Kingston was in the back seat, and a fourth person was there just being quiet. And the other three were all shouting at each other and yelling. They were talking about being shot at.
Yes.
And people being potentially murdered. The woman didn't care. She only wanted to go shopping.
And clubbing. I'm in my club clothes, she said.
At which point, Melly Mel said, "You've been shopping 1 million times. We gotta go 1,000,001?"
Yes.
That's fantastic. I'll have more to say about Melly Mel later.
He was so awesome. She was bitching about her club clothes, and he said, "Jesus Christ, the SATs are being shot at. Can I make a fucking living here without you being so goddamn selfish?"
Yes.
And meanwhile, she's going, "Shut the fuck up, Eddie!" And he's trying so hard not to laugh. This was the best thing on the show.
Yeah.
Way up there.
Yes, actually, I probably agree with that. So, we had a match. Lance Lude.
It's his name. It's an Lude, like Lance Quaalude.
Yes, not a suggestive sexual risque name. The drug. Lance Lude and Brian XL versus the SATs. Very early on here, there was another suplex onto somebody's head. Stop that, you... There was a very cool slow-motion German suplex. I like that. And eventually, the Maximos won with a Spanish fly.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, there's a giant in the UWF. I think he works... No, he does. He worked for the other boss in this setup. He worked for the Brian XL boss. And the giant gets in the ring, and the giant has, I think, my favorite name for a big man ever. Big Business.
It's his name.
That's his name.
Big Business.
So he gets in the ring. He lays out the SATs. When who should get in the ring but Melly Mel?
Mm-hmm.
Melly Mel is like a foot and a half shorter than this guy. They had a stare down. There was a confrontation, and it ended with Melly Mel clotheslining the giant over the ropes to the floor.
Melly Mel is all jacked up.
Melly Mel has the best body on the show. He's short, but he is all jacked up. He has a broad chest, narrow waist, big fucking arms. You know how old Melly Mel is?
I don't know.
Melly Mel is 50.
Really?
Yes.
He's kept himself in all right shape.
He has been around for a while.
About that.
He's kind of the man.
So this is the end of Big Business, by the way. His career's over.
You would think so. He still got beat up by a rapper.
Mm-hmm.
The other rapper here also got in the ring, and he did not look nearly as good as Melly Mel. So there was a giant brawl with like the entire roster here at this point. A Maximo and somebody else went up into the balcony, and they did like a moonsault off the balcony into a pile, and then a big splash off the balcony into a pile. And they did these giant moves, and I don't even remember who they were, so that was stupid.
All I know is the announcers called this action by screaming, and I quote, "What the fuck?
Moonsault off the balcony, what the fuck?"
Some of the craziest shit I've ever seen. Which was true. I guess.
One. And then we got the empty arena match.
Oh.
BC Killer versus Eddie Carnage.
This sucked.
This was...
You know why this sucked?
There are many reasons.
I've seen a lot of ultra-violent matches in my life. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. I've seen enough.
You've seen enough, yes.
I've seen too many, quite frankly. Listen. Everyone knows it's fake. All right? We don't think you're any tougher because you do stupid shit. We just think you're dumber. These two guys went in there, and it was all of the usual. I think the gimmick here was Urban Wrestling Federation wanted to say, we put on the most violent wrestling match in pay-per-view history. Which Goal achieved. What the hell does that mean? These guys hit each other with light tubes. They cut each other open with glass. They threw chairs at each other's heads. They took filament, mashed up filament, and poured it into open wounds. Just the kind of stuff where you watch it and you're like, you're both idiots. You're both completely stupid. Yeah. Why are you doing this? Yeah. You're going to regret this someday. Your family's going to regret this. Everybody you know is going to regret this. They also trying to explain that they're just trying to make the money. And it's like, really? You're not making any money for this, even in storyline, because it's a fucking empty arena match. Yeah. You're just stupid.
There were staple guns.
Staple guns to the skull.
They broke a toilet over a man's head. Not exaggerating.
No. A real glass toilet broke over a guy's head.
Ceramic toilet, yes.
Glass, ceramic, whatever. They, glass shower pane, suplex through, blood. You know, just one of those matches where we're going to hurt each other as much as humanly possible without dying. And that's going to be our match. Because we can't work.
Yes.
So
we have no talent, so we will be geeks.
Literally
geeks.
Not only was the match just a horrendous display of horrendosity, but it really pissed me off because there was a charm to the Urban Wrestling Federation. And the second show in particular, there was a real charm to the Urban Wrestling Federation. Because you want to know what? It's different. I don't know what the hell's going on, but it's different, and it's got some great characters, and it's funny, and the wrestling was pretty damn good. But the bottom line is, all three of these shows, up until this match, bottom line, I had fun watching them. I had fun watching a 1-hour professional wrestling show. This was no fun. This was no fucking fun at all. This was whatever, like, the polar opposite of fun is. That's what this was. So it pissed me off.
Yeah.
It completely ruined my enjoyment of the Urban Wrestling Federation, this fucking match right here. Yeah. All I can hope is, okay, you did it. You got it out of your system. Don't do shit like this again.
Just stupid.
You know, in the mid-'90s, everyone's doing all this shit, and they super glue themselves back together, and they pop some pills, and a week later they feel fine. You know, because they're young and they're stupid. But it's 2011, okay? A lot of those guys are dead.
Right.
A lot of those guys that aren't dead are fucked up. So, you don't need to do this shit. We've all learned the lessons. This is dumb shit. So don't do it. It's not enjoyable for anybody. I mean, the number of fans that are going to enjoy a match like this, you know, you can't support a company. You just can't. So don't cater to these people. So yeah, I thought this sucked. The finish was...
Finish, actually, I cannot lie. The finish was I don't know if impressive is the right word. It looked cool. One of them...
It was so wacky.
I guess it was Eddie Carnage. So he's got his wrist all taped up and his hand mostly taped up. And... he put lighter fluid on the taped-up wrist. He lit the lighter fluid on fire and hit a spinning fire forearm.
Mm-hmm. Which didn't even lead to a pin.
It just walked away.
He just hit him with this move, and then it was like, fight's over. You had the coolest move. You used fire.
That was a finish.
2 thumbs down.
Yeah. So we had our main event, as noted earlier. Bestia versus Homicide versus Ricky Reyes versus Roshe Brown. There was a point here.
As much as I hated the previous match, I fell in love with the show again when, as this main event started, Bestia, Roshe Brown, Homicide, and Ricky Reyes for the UWF Street King title. The announcers actually said that
this is the best line I've ever heard.
The winner of this match...
And by the way, I say this, Brian and I didn't watch this together.
No.
So I know what he's going to say, because there's nothing else that could be so great a line as to mention here. Was this not the best line you've ever heard?
This was the best line I've ever heard.
Okay, continue.
They said that the winner of this match would be forced to grow a second dick to accommodate all of the bitches that he would be fucking after winning the championship.
I wrote it down slightly different. The man who wins this match is going to have to grow a second dick for all the fucking he'll be doing. Either way.
I've never heard a call like that.
It was just too
I've
bad.
never heard a call like that in any sport.
In any walk of life.
That is the Urban Wrestling Federation that I love.
Yes,
right there.
yes.
You cannot hear commentary like that anywhere else on the earth.
I've hung out with a lot of drunk, pilled up dudes. I've never heard anyone say, you're going to have to go a second dick for all the fucking you'll be doing. Maybe it's because everyone knew I would not need that. But so there was a point here in this match where I actually rewound to try and count. I believe I counted 8 camera switches in 5 seconds. That was seizure-inducing. And then there were a bunch of pins in a very short time.
But, hey, as noted, Homicide was about to, he pinned Bestia first with a cop killer.
Actually, that was an ace crusher.
Oh, whatever. And then Homicide, thank you, Vinny. As Michael Cole say?
Oh, thank you, Josh.
Oh,
You're right.
thank you, Vince. Homicide then went up for a top rope Hurricane Rana, but Eddie Kingston, who he has been feuding with since day one.
And they reminded us of that a few times in the show.
And last show.
Yeah.
Remember last show?
Oh, yes.
Eddie Kingston is so despondent to have lost to Homicide that he's drinking and he's talking about how his life has sucked for his whole life. What was the term he used? I've been hopeless forever.
Since I was 14 or something.
I've been hopeless forever. He's always been without hope. But he came down here and he fucked Homicide and wiped him out of the tournament. Mm-hmm. Fine booking. It came down to Reyes and Brown is a bigger, stronger man, and he speared him and pinned him.
Yep.
So yes, Rashi Brown is the new UWF heavy. All right, let's talk about Urban Wrestling Federation Thug Assassins. That was the name of this show.
It was, and you hear that and you think, what does that mean? That's kind of nonsensical and random.
Wrong!
Here is how the show opened. This was unique. They showed clips from the last show of Rashi Brown winning the UWF Street King Championship.
Yes.
They showed security camera footage of Brown giving the title belt to someone. The graphic said this was several hours after the show. Then they showed Rashi Brown walking up a stairway and walking down a hallway. Then he got jumped by 2 dudes in hoodies.
2 thugs.
They were, in fact, thugs. 2 thugs in hoodies. This was, so far, this is largely standard wrestling fare. They beat him, they laid him out, they stomped on him for a while, and then something new happened. Something I have not seen on a wrestling show before.
Wrong, actually. Well, not this exact thing, but go on.
They pulled out pistols, firearms, and they shot him in the head from point-blank range several times, and then they ran away.
Yes.
Rashi Brown was just shot, apparently, to death here on this pay-per-view.
Apparently? They put a gun by his temple and shot 5 times. The dude's dead. Yes. They killed Rashi Brown.
They murdered him.
That is the end of him in the UWF.
They put him down.
See, what you don't understand, Vinny, because you don't pay attention to these shows, is Rashi Brown is hardly the first man to be assassinated. Several characters have been killed off. Don't you remember on that one show when, Low Life Louie put the bag over that fella's head and killed him? It's like at the end of the show.
I remember the bag over the head. I don't realize that man was deceased.
He's dead. You can't mess around in the UWF, Vinny.
I was not aware these men were dying left and right.
They'll take you out. So yes, Rashi Brown is dead. What does that mean for the title?
Well, yes, that's the important question
We soon found out.
So, after recapping, nay, displaying a murder, the end of a man's life...
Well, presumably.
You just said.
Well, you weren't sure.
After this, they just went to the ring for a promo.
Yeah.
Bunch of guys came out like nothing out of the ordinary was happening.
Well, because the murder happened at the end of the last pay-per-view, basically. So they've had 2 months to mourn.
But, okay. No one cared that Rashi Brown was dead.
This wasn't
No one cared.
Well, the key was the crew that came out was glad the fellow was dead, because then they took control of the title.
They had the belt,
Yep.
They came out. Guess what they were after?
Tell
That
me.
money.
Yep.
That money.
Well, and bitches.
Most of them, I had no idea what they said. There was a big dude named Slim, Slymm, which I think would be slime. Anyway, he declared he declared himself the new champion.
Yep.
Beast Ortiz, which I love as a name, by the way.
Yes.
Beast Ortiz was watching from the rafters. Somebody in here was named T. Mizzle. Everyone was talking shit to each other we couldn't hear. There was a security guard there with a sweet-ass mullet.
One of the fellas from Atlas Security back in the 90s, ECW.
Yeah. And this security guard proceeded to not do his job as Slim grabbed a fan, dragged him out of the crowd into the ring, and laid him out with a spinning slam. At this point, Uncle Murder's crew came out. Slick Wagner Brown said he wanted the title, that money, and bitches.
There's consistency here in the UWF.
Don't we all? Somehow, in the rafters, Beast Ortiz got his hands on the mic. Even with a microphone, I still couldn't hear anything he said. He declared he was going to whip Slick Wagner Brown's ass. They fought for 15 seconds, and then at least 4 men hit the ring, quite possibly more.
Well, they were so big.
There are 2 of them.
There was only one man.
It may have been 1 man. It seemed like 4. 2 of these men were apparently a tag team known as the Fat Pack.
This, I swear to God, is my new favorite tag team. You know how much money
It's really
I would
just the
pay?
one guy.
You know how much money? Well, that's true. Big Baby Daddy, who is so fat. How fat was he, Vince?
Minimum 450.
This man is like unbelievably, gigantically fat. But he hits the ring, he beats on dudes, and then he goes outside. If you've ever watched any of my matches, I have a move that I do that Eddie Guerrero stole from me. It's where you stand on the outside and you grab the ropes from the apron, and you do you take the ropes and I don't even know what it's called.
You do a slingshot.
A slingshot senton.
Do a somersault onto the man. And he called it a helo.
Yeah, slingshot senton is essentially what it is.
The loser term, yes.
But this fatty, Big Baby Daddy, he laid this dude out. He went to the apron, and he grabbed the ropes. And I thought, no. No! No! In fact, Big Baby Daddy did what I believe, I'm not sure, a slingshot senton onto his opponent.
That's what he was trying to do. I'm certain that's what he was trying to do.
He made it over the ropes!
Here is what he did.
What he really did.
Here is what he actually did. Rather than grab the ropes and jump over them, he basically pushed the ropes down till they were under his belly.
Yes.
Then he leaned forward, and he kind of teeter-tottered on top of them for a while, and he leaned a little more forward, and a little more forward, inch by inch, until finally his center of gravity was no longer over his base of support, and he immediately came crashing down to earth like a comet.
Yes. Yes, dinosaurs were killed during this spot.
Funniest fucking thing ever. Somehow in this, like, his leg grazed the guy. And they
Grazed?
That's what he was trying to do.
He landed with both legs on this man. And by the way, when Vinny tells you what happened, he's making it far more dramatic than it was. Because the actual splot actually is a
This was a
operative
splot.
term.
This was a splot.
This was a splot. The splot took a split second. He pushed down, he leaned forward, and bam!
Oh, God.
This man got hit so hard that his legs went one direction and his torso went the other. This was more of a murder than when the thugs shot Rashi Brown at point-blank range.
In the head.
Yeah. I probably would sooner take that than the
bullet
senton that Big Baby Daddy performed in this particular, I don't even know what this was. It wasn't a match.
Segment.
Yeah.
All right, then we got the absolute worst thing in the world, a UWF backstage segment. They do about 50 of these in every show. And they're all the same. There's a bunch of guys. They throw up either no graphics or a dozen graphics in 10 seconds. So you still have no idea who anyone is.
Hey, at least they got graphics.
They all mumble to each other. You never understand 2/3 of it. And the 1/3 you do understand, it's all the same thing. They all want that money. They're all worried about respect and bitches. It's the same promo over and over again. It always sucks. And it's always edited badly. This one, there was like 2 of them. There was, I'm sorry, that one comes later. This one was just the Fat Pack and their crew celebrating backstage. They had a conversation I could not hear or understand. And then one of the guys who was in this conversation, I don't know who he was, I don't know why, but the Fat Pack suddenly turned and beat the holy living fuck out of him.
Well,
there was clevering.
Big Baby Daddy hit him with the hardest clothesline. But then he cannot throw a kick because he's too fat. Because throwing a kick requires you to stand on one leg.
Yeah.
Which is very difficult when you're Big Baby Daddy.
So, they killed this guy for whatever reason. Then 40 Glock and someone else had a conversation in the car. Something about tightening screws. Fat Pack revealed that the guy they had just beat the fuck out of, they stole his shoes and his weed.
And his wallet. And their posse wanted the shoes and the weed, but didn't care about the wallet.
Uncle Murda told Slick Wagner Brown he needed to handle his business. Said he needed winners. 5 random men met in an alley, and I guess they made a match for later. Then Uncle Murda talked more about money and bitches. These segments... infuriate is too strong a word, but they make me angry.
They could be better.
Yeah!
But I will say this. I did watch this show twice, and I actually kind of know what's going on after watching it twice. But I should know what's going on after watching it once. That's the problem.
I used to watch Lucha every week, and I understood those promos 1,000 times better, and they were in goddamn Spanish.
Well,
language I do not speak.
You could hear them. That's the problem with this show. Is oftentimes you can't actually hear what.
That is my point.
Well, here's another thing. Part of the problem is it's a roster full of mumblers.
Yeah.
So tell these guys
we're not disagreeing here.
I think they need to put a wireless mic on all these fellas. I think that'd make things a lot better. And if they do have one on, they need to turn up the volume. And I'll tell you another one. That I actually know from experience because I did some of those student films, the Seattle Film Institute films, about 6-7 years ago. Never film outside in traffic.
Yeah, excellent point. All right, we had G's versus Famous B. G's is
short.
Maybe 170, somewhere around there. One of the announcers, I will say that the announcers on the show are far and away the best part of it.
Oh, yeah, they're the best announcers in wrestling, I think.
Well, besides Mark Henry.
That's true.
But
who, by the way, would be awesome
I
on
was just going to say. One of the announcers claimed that G's had deadlifted 675 pounds in preparation for this match.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He knew he had a match with Famous B, and so he decided, well, I should go to the gym and deadlift 675 pounds.
Yes.
That's his preparation.
Yes. A third of a ton.
I figure he's so short that he didn't actually lift the weight when he stood up. That's how he accomplished this feat.
I see.
Yeah.
So, G's is really good. Famous B at some points looked pretty green. At some points, he actually looked really awesome. When he got lost on a high spot and he failed to catch G's in a dive. But then when it was his time to go on offense, he was doing these really swank rolls off the ropes and some great lucha spots. They did the funniest, scariest, and most brutal apron DDT spot of all time. Famous B knows lots of ways to take bumps on his head and have it be funny. They did do the indie gimmick where you hit 1,000 finishers and kick out of them. And then finally, G's won with a foot stomp to Famous B while Famous B was standing up and bent over, like when Cena does his leg drop. So G's won. It was fun, if a little indie-rific. I
thought this was a really good match. A fun match.
It was fun.
I don't I don't know if I would say it was like one of the better matches of the week or anything like that, but it was a fun match.
At this point, a fat man named Steve Mack hit the ring.
A fat, strong man.
A very strong man. He laid out G's in a... Frankly, I enjoyed his beatdown significantly more than the match. Watching him suplex the fuck out of this little fucker. Great, good times. So then the announcers explained why Steve Mack was so angry at G's. Here's one I have not heard, at least not with this detail, in wrestling before. Steve Mack was upset at G's because G's had been fucking his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Not just fucking her. The announcers explained fucking her without a condom.
Yeah.
There are times when I do love this show. I can't deny.
This man's ripe for a beating.
I would whip someone's ass too. This was a segment where there were two conversations going on where I couldn't understand what was going on in either one of them, and they just cut back and forth between them over and over again. This one did legitimately piss me off. We had Bestia versus Masada. Bestia was, in fact, Bestia 666 from Perros del Mal.
By far the best worker on this show.
Yes. And right away, when you see an actual professional wrestler on the show, he just shines like the brightest star in the sky. Everything he did looked awesome. Just fantastic. He did lucha with his giant white opponent.
Well, not everything looked fantastic.
Until the finish.
Yes.
There was the finish. The idea was that Bestia would hit a reverse Frankensteiner onto a garbage can lid and pin him. That's what they tried. It's not close to what actually happened. It appeared that both men broke their necks, and Bestia made the cover. Up to that point, this is the best thing on the show.
Yes. Bestia is good.
Bestia is really fucking good.
Yeah, he should be where Camacho is right now, at least.
Bestia and Camacho, I say this after watching the man wrestle one time, but Bestia and Hunico would be a fucking awesome tag team.
They would be outstanding.
Oh my god, that would rule. Two guys said that somebody from Atlanta had shorted them money. Then Ruckus and Grim Reaper were counting money in a car. And then these two parties met in the street for a conversation we could not hear because, as you noted, it was in the goddamn street.
These meetings in the street were setting up matches that we were seeing throughout the evening.
All right. If you say so. Slick Wagner Brown versus Ruckus in the main event. Uncle Murder's crew came out, and I don't know who their honey was, but my God, her ass.
She was something else.
Even the announcers were like, I will give you $100 to get a close-up of her ass.
And then the guy did, so guy's out $100.
I hope he got his money. So they were brawling on the floor. Ruckus laid him out and put a chair on him and hit a cartwheel splash. And the announcers said this is going to cost the man his sex life. Their exact words were, no boners!
That's what they said.
Yeah, okay, I like the show. I have a very love-hate relationship with the Urban Wrestling Federation.
I do too.
No boners. So Ruckus just kept doing cartwheels and flippy-doos, and then on like the 14th one, he did a cartwheel and landed on his feet, and Slick Wagner Brown just clotheslined his head off.
Yes.
Great spot.
Yes.
Beautiful spot. So they kept doing stuff. This is also one of those companies where everyone has to kick out of everything on Earth. Ruckus hit a moonsault leg drop. Slick Wagner Brown kicked out. The announcer said he would have to, quote, kill this cocksucker to keep him down. Lowlife Louie and Murder One appeared. They were brawling in the ring. Brown won with something that was like a spine buster. Lowlife Louie and Murder One brawled out the street, or out into the street, down the street, and then into an alley. Suddenly, we don't know where this came from, but there was music playing. Like 1983 synthesizer music. And as they're having this fight in an alley, the show ended.
I don't know if it's my pay-per-view provider, but when you say the show ended, what happened was...
the screen went dark.
No.
Oh.
That's not what happened. They're brawling, and it was on pause. And then there was them thanking a tattoo parlor, and then it just stayed on pause. Presumably forever, because I stopped watching after about 30 seconds. This is how the show ended. The Urban Wrestling Federation. Everybody, it is not for everybody.